Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 166.
On Now You Know.
Brought to you as always by our wonderful, amazing Patreon patrons who support us over on Patreon and get some pretty great perks for it.
And as Amazon associates, we earn from qualifying purchases. The link is down below. And with ecoware.us, you get new designs uploaded every week, and they are carbon offset from the manufacturer, shipping, and life cycle of your purchase. And every purchase helps us here on Now You Know.
And we plant a tree for every single order, which means that your purchase is carbon negative.
Check out my new one.
That is a cool design.
Isn't that cool?
I just realized how well this design works for a jacket, because you can go real tight in with the jacket. It could be, oh, it's cold out, but you still got this sick style with the rocket in the middle. This is a new look for me.
You're all set for fall? All right.
Absolutely.
Nice. And we're going to be at Fully Charged Live in Austin, Texas on February 1st and 2nd. Jesse and I will be live on stage with Robert Llewellyn.
And we're going to be, walking around the grounds, seeing all the cool new tech that's going to be there. And we'll probably be able to meet you guys. And so we have a discount code, if that deal weren't sweet enough, which is down in the description below. It's NYK2019. It gets you 15% off tickets. So sweeten the deal.
Book them now.
Book them now.
Well, Elon tweeted the date. It is going to be time for the Cybertruck unveiling on November 21st.
Yes, and of course, we're going to be there.
Of course.
Of course we're going to be there. We're going to be live streaming. We are just working out now how amazing we want our live stream to be.
I was kind of thinking that we should do 2 live streams. That way, when one goes down, as it inevitably does for a little while, if there's some kind of Wi-Fi issues or whatever, you can just have the second one open on another page.
Right.
So we can be shooting from 2 different angles. I can be shooting you can be shooting me, we can be shooting the truck.
Right.
That could be cool.
We're working on all sorts of gear. Thank you, patrons, for helping us with that, because we've got a camera that should be able to zoom in, so that way when Elon's speaking, he's not just an amorphous bright blob on a black background. You'll actually hopefully be able to get to see his face, and when that pickup truck comes out on stage, we'll have it in hopefully crisper quality.
We got to get there early so that we get to the front of the line.
Of course we're going to get there early. That's why you watch our stream.
And as Elon said, the date is strangely familiar. What is he talking about?
Well, it has to do with the inspiration for the truck, which is Blade Runner, sort of this cyberpunk future. It takes place in November 2019.
Oh, that's weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so a lot of China news here for Tesla. According to Reuters, Tesla plans to more than double its service centers in China from 29 to 63 and grow its local supercharger network by 39% to 362 stations in the coming months.
Now, why are they spending so much time and energy and money expanding these things? I mean,
It's such a small market.
Are they expecting some kind of explosion in growth due to something?
Yeah, I don't...
What could that something be?
Oh, yeah, Giga 3.
The effort will reportedly expand beyond China's coastal regions and big provincial capitals to reach new ones, including in the northwestern city of Urumqi, the southwestern city of Kunming, I got that one, and the ice city of Harbin in the north. The ice city.
Yes.
That's some Game of Thrones.
I know, isn't it?
Cool.
Tesla's vice president Tao Lin said at an industry conference last month in Beijing, building cars from the Shanghai factory is just the first step. Next, we must deliver cars very well to our customers and provide very good after-sales service. So he gets it. You got to have service centers everywhere. And someone's impressed with the recent quality of the Model 3s in China. Mm-hmm. Tencent is a huge company that has invested in Tesla. They have like a 5% stake in the company. And their auto editor-in-chief had some really nice things to say about the quality of the Model 3.
He liked how it handled and how quiet it was. So, I mean, that's good news. You got Tencent happy with the Model 3 in China. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, putting all that good news out to the Chinese media. And I mean, I just want to stop for a second and imagine if there wasn't such good news in China. Because, I mean, everything we're hearing about Tesla is positive, right? But, I mean, It could have been completely different. It could have been that there were delays and the Gigafactory wasn't opening on time.
There could have been a completely different reception to Tesla in China. China could have easily said that, like, oh, no, you definitely have to partner with the Chinese company, Tesla. We're not going to let you open a factory. You know, no other automaker has their self-owned factory in China. They always have to partner with the Chinese company.
And what if some of these other Chinese companies weren't so positive about Tesla?
And so Tesla did, you know, some kind of work to open up this huge runway for them to land this, what's basically going to be this huge deal, to have all of these Teslas being sold in China, created in China. It's just a win-win-win for pretty much everyone involved, and Tesla did a great job greasing the wheels and getting all of that working perfectly.
Now, there's a claim by Jason Yang. He's that drone pilot that we've seen, you know, we've seen all of his videos of the Gigafactory 3 updated every week. He does a fantastic job. But there's been a claim that he's seen some Model Ys spotted around the factory. Now, I've watched the videos and tried to scour them as closely as possible, but as you know, from the sky, seeing the difference between a Model 3 and a Model Y is, oh, it's impossible for me to do that.
Seeing them up close, it's even hard to tell the difference between a 3 and a Y.
Right.
So, yeah, seeing it from a drone, seeing it from anywhere but like inside the car where it says Model Y somewhere on it, I think that it's pretty hard to tell them apart. I mean, it could be possible that some Model Ys are going into trial production at the Gigafactory 3. Maybe this is going to be some kind of surprise that comes out that, you know, when the Model Y starts going into production in the US, it's also coming out in China. That could be some huge news. But
I mean, if any one of you out there is watching those videos and spots this, I mean, or if you have some photographs or something, like, please send them our way, because we'd love to know if the Model Y is indeed being produced there.
But forget the Model Y for a second. Even if those are test production Model 3s, that's super duper exciting as well. I mean, Chairperson Robin Denholm confirmed that Tesla was waiting for their final certification. She said that they're working with the local government to get their manufacturing certification, which they hope will be able to get by the end of the year. And a lot of people are saying, like, oh, they better rush. I wonder if this is going to hold them back. You have to keep in mind that every single day that Tesla gets before they start ramping up production is a gift from the heavens, because they need to be ironing out all of the bottlenecks ahead of time before they start going into production.
And earlier this year, Tesla signed a deal with LG Chem to supply cells for the Model 3 at Gigafactory. But now, according to Bloomberg, Tesla just inked a deal with CATL.
Following months of negotiations, the companies clinched a non-binding deal after Tesla Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk traveled to Shanghai in late August and met with CATL Chairman Zhen Yuquan for about 40 minutes, according to the people who asked not to be named, discussing private deliberations. Though a final agreement is expected to be signed by mid-2020, there's no guarantee that will happen, the people said.
I think it was pretty smart if Elon, you know, got a deal going with CATL, even if he didn't need it. Yes, Tesla might be planning on making their own batteries, but there's no harm in getting some price quotes, right? I mean, whenever you're looking to get something supplied, it's good just to know what's out there and available.
Right.
And I mean, like they did with Panasonic, maybe they're going to work with CATL for a little while until they get their own production ramped up. And then maybe they'll be like, okay, see ya. Don't need you.
Right. I mean, if anything with LG Chem falls through, or if their battery manufacturing at Gigafactory 3 falls through, having many different suppliers that they could fall back on is really smart. And this is good news for all the battery manufacturers in China, because this means that Tesla's going to be coming to them for their batteries. And this is actually good news for other car manufacturers, because when and if Tesla decides, okay, we're going to make our own batteries in-house at the Gigafactory 3 or somewhere else in China, it means that all of these other companies now have production already set up for Tesla's batteries, which means that other car companies could come in and say, hey, we need some batteries. And they'd be like, oh, great, because we got a fresh batch coming right out. I don't know. I think that's
hot
really
out
cool.
of the oven.
Hot out of the oven.
Here you go.
Fresh batteries.
So the EPA's 2020 efficiency ratings have just come in, and the Model 3 Standard Range Plus with the new 250-mile range, now remember a few weeks ago they just upped it from 240, that has an official efficiency of 141 miles per gallon equivalent, combined highway and city driving.
That's 24 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. That's really good.
The 2019 Hyundai Ioniq had been the efficiency leader with 136 miles per gallon equivalent, but the 2020 model dropped to 133 because it now has a bigger 38.3 kilowatt hour battery. And it now, with that bigger battery, has a bigger range, 170 EPA rated miles. But this efficiency is just another reason why Tesla is in the lead.
Right, because keep in mind that the Standard Range Plus has a 250-mile range. The Hyundai Ioniq has a 170-mile range. the Tesla has a bigger battery, and that means that Tesla's doing something right. There is some extra efficiency boosted right in there that's going to give it this efficiency. And one thing to stress, to keep in mind, is that when efficiency goes up, it means that your charging speed goes up as well. Now, you might be saying, Jesse, if I put 100 kilowatts into my car, I'm just putting 100 kilowatts into your car. And you're right. But if with that power and energy that you're storing in the battery, you can go further, it means that for every minute that you're sitting at a supercharger or a destination charger, you're going to be able to drive farther, faster. So the charging speed actually goes up because the efficiency goes up.
So what you're saying is that basically you can leave the charging station sooner because you're getting the more miles in your battery faster.
Exactly.
And so you're freeing up spot at the charger for the next person.
Exactly. Every time Tesla's able to increase efficiency on their cars, they're actually, by proxy, kind of increasing the capacity of their supercharger network.
So with some SpaceX news here, SpaceX successfully completed 13 tests of their Mark III parachute for the Crew Dragon.
If one of the 4 main parachutes fails to open, the other 3 will safely lower the spacecraft to Earth.
Now, Elon's been on some pretty heavy tweeting this week about Starship. It starts with this one. TJ Cooney said, "I love this quote, boy, how far we've come." And this is reminding everyone that in 2011, Elon said, "Not that this really matters. All current rocket tech, including ours, sucks. Only when it becomes fully reusable will it not suck."
And Elon said, wow, 2011 seems like eons ago. With fairing recovery, Falcon is 80% reusable, but reflight takes several days and requires boats. Starship will be fully reusable with booster reflight possible every few hours and ship reflight every 8 hours. No boats needed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he thinks in such big scales. And I remember the last time I thought in this scale, I think I was like 7. And I was playing Army Men in like a sandbox. And I was thinking of like an invasion or something. And you're just thinking like out of the box. Like you can do whatever you want. The world is your sandbox. And I think that's how Elon thinks.
Right.
I think he's like, yeah. And then when I have all these rockets and then we go to Mars, it's like, it's the way a kid would talk. So then Elon went on and said, that said, most Starship spaceports will probably need to be about 20 miles, 30 kilometers offshore for acceptable noise levels, especially for frequent daily flights, as would occur for point-to-point flights on Earth. So he's already taking into account the fact that these are going to be noisy. You can't just put a spaceport in the middle of a city.
Right. So then Bob Burrows said, hey, Elon, I get that the BFR is likely to launch at sea, but that means a relatively slow boat ride to the pad. Any chance of underwater hyperloop to the pad instead?
Elon said, yes.
So you're going to have this like super fast hyperloop out to the spaceport dock.
I'm so
where
excited.
You're going to then launch to Mars. I mean, that's a very futuristic sounding sentence right there.
But we're not done.
Right.
Viv said $2 million per flight. That's $20 a kilogram, assuming payload of 100 tons to low Earth orbit. SpaceX could probably break into the logistics market if they wanted to and massively undercut FedEx, Amazon, UPS, etc., pricing due to reusability, vertical integration, and time efficiency.
Elon said the economics have to be something like that to build a self-sustaining city on Mars.
Wow, so he's thinking beyond like just competing with UPS and stuff.
Right, that's small potatoes to him. And so he goes on with that. He says, payload to orbit per year of Starship fleet is most mind-blowing metric, as it's designed to fly 3 times per day, which is 1,000 times per year.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We're talking about you get onto a Starship, it flies to, let's say, Tokyo. You get off. That same Starship refuels, flies back to, let's say, LA, and then it flies again to, like, Sydney.
Well, it could,
all on the same day.
It could do that, or it could just be flying stuff into orbit.
Right.
3 flights a day.
Right.
That's amazing.
I mean, I guess it's interchangeable. It can either be intercontinental or it can be interstellar.
Elon continues. He says, if we build as many Starships as Falcons, so about 100 vehicles, and each does 100 tons to orbit, that's a capacity of 100 million tons of payload to orbit per year.
And Tesla owner Silicon Valley says, how many Starships you want to build?
Elon says 1,000 ships will be needed to create a sustainable Mars city.
And then Elon said, as the planets align only once every 2 years, so it will take about 20 years to transfer 1 million tons to Mars base Alpha, which is hopefully enough to make it sustainable.
That means he thinks that in roughly 20 years after we start launching rockets to Mars, to build a base on Mars, that we're going to have a sustainable Mars city on Mars.
I got to be honest, I had never thought about the sustainable part. I just thought about the getting there part because my limited brain is just focused on like, can you do it? He's focused on, okay, we did it, and now we got to make it sustainable. So now I have in my mind 20 years is what it'll take to get that up and running.
And how exciting is that? So we're beyond the Martian stage, like the movie or the book, The Martian, right? That we're beyond that. That's like
we've grown our potatoes,
right? We've grown our potatoes. We've built the city. There's an ironworks. There's food. There's
a disco.
Oxygen. There's everything that you need to
there's
make
an internet cafe.
A functioning society on Mars. Has anyone thought about that before? I mean, aside from science fiction writers, have we thought about the actual implications of that? Because it's a great setting for a book. Right? Oh, and then he jumped over the car because the Mars gravity is 1/3 of that of the Earth, and then he solved the mystery. That's cool, right? That's a great setting for a book, but we haven't talked about the implications of what that means.
I know.
Who's going to be on Mars? What are we going to be?
Are you going to be on Mars?
Maybe. How cool would that be? I mean, there would be like a roughly 8-minute delay.
We could still do the show
for live streams. So
I'll come visit you.
Just a minute longer than most delays for YouTube live streams, but. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
That we haven't even allowed ourselves to think about that. We are still stuck at the Martian stage. That's the only thing we're actually really thinking about.
And then, I have this hang up too. A lot of people do. Malcolm Head said, Starship's success revolves around the skydiver and flip maneuver, which appears to be extremely complex. What gives you confidence that it will work? And remember, this is where when the spaceship is returning back to Earth to land, it's got to do, under Elon's new plan, instead of coming back down as the Falcon 9 does, which is pretty much a straight shot and then a burn.
So yeah, it'll be coming down sort of like this through the atmosphere. And then at the very end, it's going to be coming down almost like this. Then it's going to go.
Okay, so Elon answers, no problem. We could program Starship to perform Swan Lake in the sky. Minimizing landing burn propellant mass is what's hard.
Oh.
I didn't know it was that easy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that it was the minimizing propellant burn. I'm sorry, Elon.
And then Tesla owner Silicon Valley said, is this mainly so we can escape if the Earth is getting close to its end?
Elon said, no, in the beginning, assuming you can even make it there alive, Mars will be far more dangerous and difficult than Earth and take decades of hard labor to get self-sufficient. That's the sales pitch. Want to go?
So I'm asking you. You're the one who wants to go.
Look, like what?
Are you backing down?
I'm not backing down. I'm simply explaining that, when it was time to go to the new world, was everyone like, oh, but we have our city streets and cholera right here.
But I think a lot of people pictured, streets paved with gold in the new world. And that's
they were told streets paved with gold.
So maybe, telling them this
that's
isn't
a much
helping.
harder sell, I suppose, than the streets will be paved with gold.
Dust.
But I don't know. Do we really care that much about gold anymore?
Okay, so
I don't know.
I guess that's a yes.
Like, when was the last time you saw a bunch of gold, like a bunch of it? Never. You don't even know if it exists.
So Germany's Automotor und Sport reported last week that the Tesla Model S Plaid prototype has been hand-timed, lapping at Nürburgring Nordschleife racecourse in 7 minutes and 13 seconds. And they did this twice, supposedly.
So that's 10 seconds faster than the 7 minutes and 23 seconds set back in September. And according to Clean Technica and adjusted for race compound tires, this puts Tesla at around 19 seconds ahead of the Taycan Turbo's 742 lap time, reported by Porsche in August. It's also faster than every gas-powered four-door series production car around the ring.
Wait, so you're telling me that all these cars in the list there, that the Plaid beats them?
Yeah, and it also beats the Taycan. So adjusted for race compound tires basically means that Tesla has racing compound tires on the car, which gives it about a 10-second advantage. If you take away that 10-second advantage, it beats the Porsche Taycan around Nürburgring.
Oh, because the Porsche didn't have those tires on it?
Right. And so, but basically Tesla would still beat it around the track. Again, these aren't official times. It would be great if Tesla and Porsche both got together and did some kind of race or something. I don't think that
maybe Top Gear could do it.
Yeah. It doesn't give any advantage to either of the companies to do official times, because then you're just kind of stuck in this competition forever, where now everyone on both sides can kind of feel like, okay, my car is actually better. It's actually the better one.
Well, Elon says there's more to come. So Tesla was recognized as the only manufacturer to receive the highest possible score on Moody's Carbon Transition Assessments, or their CTAs. Now, CTAs measure an automotive company's ability to transition to a low-carbon future.
The median carbon transition assessment score for the 20 leading car manufacturers is CT6 on a 10-point CTA scale, with the best, which Tesla is at a CT1. Okay. So CT6 is kind of like getting a 40% on your math quiz.
The problem is that Moody's is using the IEA, or the International Energy Agency's guidelines, to help them figure out where companies should be. And if we remember, the IEA is really good at counting the number of power utility companies in the world and power plants, but they're really bad at making graphs about what's going to happen in the future.
Right. Most of their graphs often will contain like an elbow where you see something either rising significantly and then it just kind of goes like, or you'll see something where something's falling, and then they go, everything's staying the same from this point. It's all the same.
Right.
Change is slow, when in reality it's not. So IEA makes predictions that are very conservative and very slow, not even off of data they're seeing. Just they usually take today's data and they just draw lines straight from it off into the distance.
Right. So Moody's is taking that timeline, and they're basically saying to companies, well, if you have 25% of your production making at least hybrids, then you're in a good position for the future. And our argument here is that's just simply not true.
So this assessment isn't even really the proper assessment. It's not even the right test.
Right.
I mean, this is sort of like saying, okay, if you get a 25% on your math quiz, then Moody's thinks that that's good. So we're going to take from 10 to 1, 1 being the best, we're going to split. And if you get up to 25% on your math test, then Moody's thinks you're doing a good job. And so Tesla is it's getting a 100 basically, because all of their cars are no tailpipe emissions for carbon, and you can power them 100% renewably if you want to. And all the other car manufacturers can't say that. There's no way that they can say that at all. They're giving them a CT6 when Tesla's getting a 100 on the test. That means that they're basically getting, 40% out of 25%. They're getting what even is that? Let's look at this a different way. It's kind of like a mom yelling to her children, saying like, kids, come on, get out of the playground. The fun's over. We got to get in the car. We got to go. And they're going like, no, 5 more minutes. And Tesla's the kid who's already in the car. And all the other car companies are going like, no, we don't want to go. We want to keep polluting. I want to keep polluting on this great playground of money and fun. Oh, Mom.
So the Green Mountain Institute reports, even as clean energy costs continue to fall, utilities and other investors have announced plans for over $70 billion in new gas-fired power plant construction through 2025. Now, RMI research finds that 90% of this proposed capacity is more costly than equivalent CEPs, or clean energy projects. And if those plants are built anyway, they would be uneconomic to continue operating in 2035, well ahead of the ends of their planned economic lifetime. Continued investments in these power plants will present stranded cost risk for customers, shareholders, and society, while locking in 100 million tons of CO2 emissions each year.
Okay, so wait a second. You're saying that 90% of these $70 billion in new gas-fired power plants are going to be uneconomical?
They're going to be stranded assets.
So we're not even talking about the oil in the ground being a stranded asset for oil companies. We are talking about literally the plants that they're building. These gas-fired power plants are going to be uneconomical in just a few years.
Right, because think about why. You build a gas power plant, it takes years to build, millions of dollars.
Billions of dollars.
And then when you're done with it, you've got to burn something in order to make electricity.
Right.
Whereas at the same time, somebody across the street who's making a wind power plant or a solar power plant, they're getting their energy for free.
Wind is free.
Right.
The sun is free.
And that'll never change.
Right. You can't go out and be like, hey, that's my wind. You can't have that wind. That's my wind. You can't have it. You can't do that.
Right. Whereas fossil fuels continually vary in price. So
right. You can say, hey, that oil's mine. And you're like, no, it's not. It's like, yes, it is.
And Elon agrees. He says, true. And gas diesel cars too. You're stranding your assets. If you buy a gas or diesel car, you're
Today,
basically stranding your asset.
Right, because in the future it's not going to be worth anything.
So there's some good news here. Brazil's Atom Capital scrapped its short position in Tesla's shares, saying in its latest letter to clients that Tesla's improving operating efficiency has hurt its investment thesis.
But that didn't stop David Einhorn.
Yeah, you remember David Einhorn. He's got $15 billion hedge fund.
No. He used to have a $15 billion hedge fund.
What happened?
It's now a $5 billion hedge fund. Yeah, he's had 2 huge loss years for his clients, and basically the fund has lost 2/3 of its value. That's from both poor investment choices and also from people pulling out of his fund because he's such a bad hedge fund manager.
Now, keep in mind that the NASDAQ has gone up over 50% in the past 3 years. So
Right.
you could have just taken a dart and thrown it at the board and just picked a random stock in the NASDAQ and probably done better.
That's true. Also, you could have taken your money, stuffed it in a mattress, and you would have lost less money than Greenlight Capital would have. Another funny thing is that David Einhorn is he's a poker player. I didn't know that. I thought that if you're a hedge fund manager that you make smart bets, right? Because it's not like a game of blackjack.
Oh, no, it is.
It's not like a game of poker.
He likes to gamble with other people's money.
Right. And that's it. You know what else is funny? He wrote that book, Fooling Some of the People All of the Time.
Yep.
That's an interesting book. Title.
Also funny that a couple of years ago when he was having a really bad year, which is common for him, his kid said, quote, "Dad, why don't you just short your longs and long your shorts?" Elon's gotten back at him. He's recently tweeted, "Dear Mr. Unicorn," fabulous name, by the way, "we read your Greenlight Capital Q3 19 investor letter in which you make numerous false allegations against Tesla. It is understandable that you wish to save face with your investors, given the losses you suffered from Tesla's successful third quarter, especially since you've had several down years in performance and a sharp drop in assets under management from 15 billion to 5 billion. You have our sympathies. We also recognize your desire to feel somehow relevant with your Tesla short position at a time when your friends in the Tesla short community have been noticeably recoiling from the public discourse, as the world is increasingly recognizing Tesla's contributions to science, safety, and a sustainable environment. To the extent that you have any desire to learn about the amazing progress the people of Tesla are making, I would like to extend an open invitation to meet with me to discuss Tesla and tour our facilities. For their sake, I'm certain your investors would appreciate you getting smart on Tesla. Finally, please allow us to send you a small gift of short shorts to help you through this difficult time. Regards, Elon Musk.
Can we talk about what a meme lord Elon is? I mean, that's a harsh burn to publicly tweet this letter to David Einhorn, send him the shorts. David Einhorn, I mean, I don't know if I have any iota of respect for him, but basically he tweeted back at Elon, thanking him for the shorts.
Right.
Which I don't know if you want to bring up that fact,
well,
because
especially since you just lost, in 2018, they lost 34% of their investment and $1.7 billion in redemptions. Those are people who decided to pull their money out of his fund.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be tweeting. I'd be hiding in a bunker if I had done that. I feel like
how could you show your face?
I feel like my investors, the people who gave me their money for me to invest and I lost, I feel like I would need to go hide somewhere, especially in an up market, right? It's not like we've been going through some kind of depression or something. That has been the most gangbusters period of growth in quite a while in human history, and he's still able to lose money on it. And part of it is Tesla, and it's just like, why? How would you? First of all, why are you shorting Tesla? That's pretty stupid. But then the rest of it, it's not just Tesla. It's not his whole portfolio. He's just making bad bets. And on top of it, he's a poker player. Why is this guy allowed to play with money? He shouldn't. He's just, I don't know. Wow.
So after last week's state election, for the first time in more than 20 years, the Democrats have taken control of both the Virginia Senate and House, along with a Democratic governor. Now, according to Vox, ahead of the election, polls showed that more than 60% of Virginians wanted their government to do more about climate change. Young Virginia voters said climate change was a top-tier concern.
And Kentucky elected a Democratic governor, Andy Beshear, who at least admits that climate change is real. Now, why can't Republicans just sort of admit that climate change is real and that it affects the world and that maybe conservatives would want to conserve the natural resources of this planet.
Oh, Jesse,
and
where have you been? They get money from big oil.
But it's just sad that they can't stand by the principles of their party and expound upon them in the finer points. Because, I mean, we're just saying, like, climate change is real. We should do something about it. There are so many other finer points to squabble about and to fix and to worry about that we don't have the luxury to even talk about, because we live in this system where one whole half of the U.S. government denies that climate change is real and prevents doing anything about it. And it's like, why? Why can't you just admit that it's happening and then work on it from the principles of just... Hopefully, Virginia and Kentucky seems to have turned a corner.
This EPA data shows that putting different wheels on the Model 3 Performance gives quite different results. The 18-inch Aero wheels here have a range of 322 miles versus 304 miles for the 19-inch wheels and 299 miles for the 20-inch wheels. So that means a 5.9% increase in range with Aero wheels over the 19-inch wheels.
Right. And I think that you can probably see the same difference between basically any Model 3. So I'm really glad I have the Aeros on my car, because think of all the pennies I'm saving.
So if you're looking to put a Tesla next generation Roadster under the tree, this story might interest you.
Tesla, the next generation Roadster costs $250,000.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, take a look at the website. It's $250.
They don't mean like $250K?
No, that's $250 for the 1/18th scale Roadster.
Oh,
Tesla says, officially commissioned by Tesla, the Roadster 2.0 die-cast scale model was meticulously overseen by the Tesla design team. Every detail, curve, and surface was replicated from the same 3D CAD data used to manufacture the actual Roadster.
I wonder if you can get the SpaceX package. And I wonder if you could fly it around.
The Mercedes G-Class currently gets 14 miles to the gallon. That's 6 kilometers per liter.
Ola Kalianis, chairman of Daimler and head of Mercedes-Benz, announced last week that Mercedes will make an all-electric G-Class wagon.
I feel like I've seen one before.
You have. Arnold Schwarzenegger was actually pictured next to this Chrysler G-Wagon. So Chrysler is a third party that converted a G-Wagon into a fully electric car.
That's right. And I remember he was pressuring, CEO at the time was Dieter Zitsch, and he was pressuring him to do it. So I guess it's happening.
It's finally happening.
So LA Mayor Eric Garcetti chairs the C40, which is a coalition of 94 global mayors who have committed to a Green New Deal. And they announced unanimous city council approval in LA of power purchase agreements of the Elon Solar and Storage Center, the largest solar and battery energy storage system in the United States. This will help Los Angeles reach 55% renewable energy by 2025.
Wow, and 80% renewable by 2036 and 100% renewable by 2045. So this is going to have 400 megawatts of solar. It's going to have 1.2 gigawatt hours of battery. So that is enough to power 283,330 homes. It's going to create 700 jobs to build and 40 to run.
So if we take the 94 cities that belong to this C40 coalition, and I don't know why they're called the C40 if there's 94 of them, but whatever.
Maybe it started with 40.
Maybe. If you take all those people, that would be 1 in 12 people worldwide belong to this green energy coalition.
Oh, because they belong in some of the largest cities on Earth.
Right.
And so, hey, if all of those cities went to 100% renewable energy in a reasonable amount of time, which I think 2045 is a little too far for me, but if they were able to do that, it would mean that 1/12 of the population of the Earth would be running on renewable energy.
Yeah. Now, if you want to switch to renewable energy, if you want to get solar on your roof, we recommend you reach out to Energy Geeks. They can help walk you through all the options and incentives, all those technical questions you might have. And the best part is they're super nice and they're super smart and helpful. So we interviewed them so that you can kind of get to feel for who they are, and it doesn't cost you anything to do.
Now, how is that possible?
Because the installer is who pays for Energy Geeks. So it's going to come out of their side of the equation anyway. So you're not going to have to pay for it. And if you want to use our link down below to let them know that we sent you, they'll be glad to hear from you.
Italy gets it right.
Yeah, Italian Education Minister Lorenzo Fioramonte announced last week that starting in September of 2020, Italy will become the first country to make it compulsory for children to learn about climate change and sustainability in school.
1 hour per school week, 33 hours per year, integrated into traditional subjects.
Yeah, and during the climate strikes, he encouraged kids to skip school on Friday so that they could strike for climate change.
Nice.
He said, the entire ministry is being changed to make sustainability and climate the center of the education model. I want to make the Italian education system the first education system that puts the environment and society at the core of everything we learn in school. Now, it's also interesting to point out that the budget presented in Parliament includes a plastic tax and a tax on sugary drinks.
Interesting. Now, something important here is that if you're in a position to make a change, you should do it, okay? It doesn't matter if you are the Italian education minister, big or small, you can make a change in your life, either that just affects you or affects you and your family, or affects maybe your town or maybe your community, affects your state, affects your country, affects your world, right?
Right, because I mean, when you put an idea out there like we are right now, you can move an entire, town or state in a direction.
Right, and the impacts of that are a lot more far-flung than we tend to believe as humans. So I urge you that if you think that you're in a position where you can make a change, it doesn't really matter how small it is, it's going to make a difference, and if we all do that, it adds up to something big. So that's the takeaway, I think, from that story.
Now, in a couple weeks, Jesse and I will be going to the LA Auto Show, and VW's new concept electric wagon will be unveiled there, which should be pretty exciting.
It's called the BWID Space VIZZION. VIZZION.
Vision?
Vision, spelled with Z's. 'Cause just
Why are physical concept cars even needed anymore? Like, we're looking at just a mock-up CGI thing, which looks great, right? So why do we need the physical thing? I think this is like such a throwback to olden days.
Well, here's what I think why they need the physical thing is that you have a designer who designs something, and then you sit in it, and you're just like, why is the windshield like right here? And where are the cup holders? And how do I charge my phone?
Well, is that true of this one? This is the Kia Futuron Concept.
Again, it looks great. Look, if they came out with this car tomorrow, I would be like, guys, if this thing's fully electric, I think we should buy it.
So why don't they?
I don't know.
Once it gets watered down to the production model, it looks like, any other car.
All these concepts look so good, and everyone's like, oh, I want to drive that. And then they give us some crappy, like, it looks like, it's boring. All those corners, we took a belt sander, and we just, please, I just want a cool car. Which is why I drive a Tesla.
So on November 5th, Bristol became the first city in the UK, and now it's the 8th largest city, by the way, to ban diesel vehicles in the city center and in the wider clean air zone.
The ban was passed by city councilors, and it will take effect between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day, starting in 2021.
And last week, more than 11,000 scientists from 153 countries have endorsed a letter published on Bioscience declaring a climate crisis.
11,000 scientists?
Yeah, 11,000. They suggest scientists have a moral obligation to clearly warn humanity of any catastrophic threat and to tell it like it is. On the basis of this obligation and the graphical indicators presented below, we declare, with more than 11,000 scientist signatories from around the world, clearly and unequivocally, that the planet Earth is facing a climate emergency. Now, I think it's pretty sad that scientists have to be the ones to also start being political about this. I mean, scientists' job is to do, research and to figure things out.
And then they should take the report, hand it off to someone who's going to do something with it, and then the scientists can go back to the lab to do more research and do more study. The people who are getting these reports should be like, oh, interesting report here. Oh my God, we have to do something. Good thing I'm in a position to do something. Let's do it. That is what scientists are supposed to do. Hand over the report and then go back to the lab. They should not be in charge of then carrying out this thing and making sure that people see it and making sure that we start doing something about it. Again, their job is just to be scientists. Why do scientists have to be the only ones with the clarity of mind to be like, oh, this is something we should act on? If they said tomorrow that an asteroid was coming and hitting Earth, would we really go like, it's not going to hit Earth? Or be like, oh, it's gonna hit Earth after I'm dead, so I don't care.
So if you live in Europe, this might be the biggest car you've never heard of. This is the Aiways U5. This is an electric SUV that will possibly be the first Chinese SUV to sell in Europe, starting in the second quarter of 2020.
Say it again?
The Aiways U5.
No, I have never heard of it. Okay, how much does it cost?
So it's going to have a starting cost of 25,000 euros. It'll have a range of 240 miles or 386 kilometers. And it's already secured its European permits and certification. This is the first time a Chinese company has gotten these certifications, and the company is less than 3 years old.
240 miles, 386 kilometers, with a base price of 25,000 euros.
Yeah, so it's going to start selling in Norway first, and then it'll go to Germany and Sweden.
Okay, and it looks good.
Yeah.
I dare say, if there had ever been a close to Tesla killer, that this might be it. I mean,
right?
It beats it in price. It beats every other electric car in price for the range.
I mean, it doesn't have a supercharger network.
Doesn't have a supercharger
and we don't
network.
have a lot of other stats on it.
No. But still, if you wanted to drive electrically,
yeah,
with a decent range and a decent form factor and a great price, hey, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm going to keep my eye on it.
Aiways?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's
the U5.
The U5.
All right, it's time for Throwback Thursdays.
It's Monday.
It's Thursday somewhere.
No, it's not.
Mark Spiegel predicts this about the Kona back in October of 2017.
He said, Hyundai Kona electric SUV will offer up to 210-mile range coming in 2018 and taking 150 kilowatt charging. Sorry, Tesla. Okay.
All right, so let's take a look at a chart of how the Kona has done with its sales.
Okay, and now let's see the Kona.
Yeah, the Kona's on there.
No, it's not. I just see the Model 3.
No, the Kona. Look down. Look down. The blue line at the bottom. That's the Kona sales.
What do you mean?
That's how the Kona's
Someone
been selling.
didn't enter in the data?
No. That's how it's been selling. Looks like Mark Spiegel is right. He predicted it. It's a Tesla killer.
They're selling them. He was right. Well, hey, it came out.
It did come out.
Good job.
Yep.
Good job,
Mark.
Kona.
Yeah, it shows you how wrong the shorts are.
And it shows you
how desperate they are.
Well, and it shows you when people are talking to me about the Kona, and they're like, Jesse, the Kona, why do you not talk about the Kona? That's f***ing why I don't talk about the Kona. There's no Konas. Now, it's not true. There are some Konas, but statistically, it's an insignificant number of cars on the road compared to the Tesla Model 3. That's why I talk about the Tesla Model 3 incessantly.
Make more of them.
Right. I'm sure I would love the Kona. I've never said anything bad about the Kona, aside from that there are none.
All right, it's time for our video contributor stories. What do we got this week?
Let's go to Germany and find out a little bit about electric campervans.
Zach, Jesse. I'm at the caravan salon here, a large caravan event, mobile home and everything in Germany. And what I see here is a Detlef's caravan, travel trailer. Basically, the idea is 2 battery packs, 1 and 2, 40 kilowatt hours each, an electric motor. So this thing can help the towing car tow itself. Thus, the range of your EV, which you're towing it with, won't suffer as much. It's currently a prototype. They say they're pushing it forwards, but it needs quite a lot of regulation changes. But generally, I find it nice that such things are being realized. Another thing here is this independent trailer. So it has solar, 1.1 kilowatt of it, actually. One on the front, one in the back, and most of it on the top. It has, and they show how they did the electrical system for it. Basically 1.1 kilowatt of solar, for some reason only 360 ampere hours of lithium, and probably all the electrical stuff you need for it. I find it very interesting because now I, as someone who doesn't really know too much about solar details, can understand the schematics, and also other lay people. By the way, this camper stands directly in front of the train station, so everyone coming from the trade fair sees it. You see? Solar there, solar there. Now you know.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Is that not super duper exciting?
All right, it's time for Patreon bonus stories.
So for people who don't know what the Patreon bonus stories are, these are secret stories that
true.
only our Patreons get to hear about. because they support us on this channel, and they make this channel possible. And because of that, we get them a little extra, couple extra bonus.
And you can
stories.
too. Head over to Patreon for as little as $1 a month and help support us. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories, and it's time for our Patreon shout-outs. Who do we got this week, Jess?
We have Tristan Tyler,
Brian Skoglund,
Medusa Lives,
Curtis Perry,
Dean and Debbie Bortz,
Ryan Patch,
David J. Howes,
Tom TX,
Don Nicholas,
Andre von Lonen,
J.H. Verikamp.
and Ariel Del Rosario.
Thank you so much for supporting this channel. You make it really possible.
It's time for Elon's tweets of the week.
And he's back on Twitter, so we've got a lot. He had some catching up to do or something.
So Ryan tweeted, "Hey Elon, do you plan on using higher than current capacity battery packs for the Plaid S and X?"
And Elon said yes, which is crazy because 100 kilowatt hours is already a lot.
Have Grapes said, "Can we get a drive-through mode, please? It beeps like crazy every time I'm trying to get my chicken sandwich. Thank you."
You know, and Elon said, looking into it, but Elon, wait a second. There is a drive-through mode. The thing is, when it starts beeping, at least in the Model 3.
Oh, we're talking about the ultrasonics are beeping because you're getting too close to something?
Right. Because for some reason, all drive-throughs want you to do like the Death Star trench run. So there's these high curbs just to be jerks about it for some reason. And your ultrasonics are probably going to be going crazy. If you're a good driver, you can navigate them. And if you want to shut that off, at least in the Model 3, there's a little speaker icon. When you're getting close to things and it's beeping, a little speaker icon appears in like the top left portion of the screen. You just tap it and it mutes it. And
Maybe Elon didn't know that. I wonder if we could stump Elon. If we could have stump
something
Elon.
that Elon didn't know about his car. It would be
Might be that.
that would be a great TV show.
It would be.
Single episode.
And then Robert McFarland said, "I wonder if the essence of climate denial among disbelieving Americans is an unwillingness to accept that there is anything in this world so powerful it could overrule them. This is a brilliant essay on sea level rise and social justice." And Elon said,
Same goes for digital super intelligence denial. Pretty interesting that you
It is.
could. Yeah, I mean it's kind
it's
of
cognitive dissonance. It's the same for anything that you
Right.
can't comprehend, basically. And again, we should be teaching this in school. And then Will Feely said, 2FA update, Elon. And Elon said, "Fair point, coming soon. We're making foundational upgrades to the core Tesla corporate OS. 2FA right after that." And I mean, good for you, Elon. That's super important.
What's 2FA?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important. I mean, if we don't have 2FA, anyone could just like hack into our vehicles.
But what's 2FA?
I know, right? I mean, without it,
No,
what is anything without
What is 2FA?
Right. I know.
No, what
because-
is it? What is 2FA mean?
two-factor authentication.
Okay, why don't we just say it? Okay, Elon, you made a bunch of rules. You put them in an email that you sent to your employees saying, don't use acronyms. That was one of the first things on the list. You said it. You said, don't use acronyms because people won't know what you're talking about. 2FA means absolutely nothing to me. So two-factor authentication. Oh, thank you. That makes so much more sense. Elon, use your own rules, please.
And then Elon, responding to Teslarati, said, "Connected autonomous cars require great software. Advanced factories also require great software. The car industry is not very good at software." All right, it's time for community mail time.
Community mail time.
So Phil and Mary's nieces and nephew, Hugo, Erica, Marin, and Flora, all were enamored by their Model 3. Look at them. They're just huddled around it like it's the latest and greatest, which it truly is. Again, kids really understand the Model 3.
And speaking of kids, Brighton's got a new collection of cars. Now,
Brighton is not a child.
oh, he's not.
He's not a child.
He's like, "I'm going to the store and getting myself some cars." And
think
by the way, that looks really familiar. Where is that?
Yeah, we've got one ourselves. We've got our own little
Robocar.
Robocar here, so that's pretty nice. We're going to keep it in the packaging because it's, of course, going to be worth millions of dollars someday.
And why does he have so many in his basket?
Well, that's someone he's buying. There's a Model 3 and a Model S.
I don't think he's buying that many. So he's getting all those for himself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have a monopoly on the Hot Wheels, the Tesla Hot Wheels,
I guess he's going to put them on eBay.
I mean, that's smart.
And our Patreon patron Cyrus's new used Model 3 long range.
Nice.
So, see, Model 3s are on the used market now. So if you're like, I can't afford a Model 3, I don't know, maybe you can.
One.
And this is Stijin's new Leaf in the Netherlands. And there is a new 2020 Tesla Model 3 charity calendar that's coming out. This is perfect for the holidays coming up. This full color calendar has been made in cooperation with the I Spotted a Model 3 Facebook group. A portion of the proceeds of each calendar will be donated to help restore the Chesapeake Bay. Last year, they were able to plant 24,000 oysters in the bay with the money they raised, and they hope to exceed that this year. Anyway, the link is down below. All right, it's time for our on-air question of the week. What do we got?
So Russell asked us, is MPGE the best way to explain consumption to buyers? I was talking cars with friends recently, and I had to explain what it was, and they are car guys, just not familiar with battery electric vehicles. I think you could ask most mainstream buyers what 108 MPGE is, and you would get a blank stare. That's a problem. I completely agree with you about this, because MPGE doesn't mean a dang thing.
Sure it does. It's trying to find an equivalence so that people can talk to people who only understand gasoline. So for instance, when you go to your friend and you're like, my Model 3 gets 124 miles per gallon equivalent, they can go, what? My car only gets 25 miles per gallon.
Okay. It's great for that, for them to be like, oh my gosh, that's so much more efficient.
Right, but why are they giving him a blank stare? I think it's because the numbers are so out of whack from what they're thinking. They're thinking he's going to say my car gets a 29 miles per gallon equivalent.
But the thing is, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it doesn't relate to cost, because the price of gas goes up and down. The price of electricity goes up and down. It doesn't relate to that at all. It doesn't really let you know how far you can go necessarily on a charge, because like, a Prius gets 50 miles a gallon, means it has like a 500, 600 mile range with a certain gas tank, right? That tells you something about its potential range.
But its job, the MPGE job, is to let you compare apples to oranges. It's so you can compare an electric car to a gas car.
Right. It's this very tenuous thread between the two that doesn't tell you anything
I
other
agree.
than on
Okay,
a very theoretically high level.
If you were to say to them, my car gets 400 watt hours per mile, they would give you a blank stare too, because they'd be like, watt hours?
Right.
What?
Well, it's like if you were asking them about bushels or pecks. The people would just be like, what are you talking about? Because we don't use that anymore.
I mean, I'm all for watt hours per mile. That's how we speak in the electric, car world. But
Sure.
I'm just saying, when you're trying to speak to someone who's still in the gas world, you need something that allows them to share the language with you.
I think that they need a little educational session. You can't.
I would love that.
If
but
someone is going to literally buy the car, they should not be looking at MPGE. If they are just perusing a magazine and they're like, oh, what is this? Oh, MPGE, interesting. That's so much better than my gas mileage on my car. It creates this whole layer of confusion where they think that the car burns gas.
My argument is that it's kind of like a football player, right? A quarterback might be able to throw like a 50-yard Hail Mary pass. That's a long pass. But your quarterback, can throw a 200-yard pass. Now, if you were to tell that to most football fans, they'd be like, whoa. No one can throw the ball 200 yards.
Right.
Your car can. It's a great way for them to go, mind blow, wait a minute, your car can do this amazing thing. I want to learn more about it. Then when they learn more about it, you can teach them about watt hours per mile or kilometers per mile.
That's great, and they should definitely, that it can be a number somewhere that they see, but there should be another number behind it or next to it or around it that's telling you the actual numbers that people use, because I'm never factoring in. I'm never like doing some math and going like, okay, well, so it's this number of MPGE. It just doesn't happen.
All right, it's time for our Patreon poll, and we asked, what do you think the impact of the Tesla pickup truck will be? The number one answer we got was every news site will post a full photo of the Tesla pickup truck, which will increase pre-orders significantly, and Tesla stock will jump.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to just be pre-orders for the truck. I think that it's going to be orders for the Model 3, S, and X, because when people see that truck, they're going to be like, Tesla? Oh, what? I've never heard of that before. Let me learn about what this company is. And once they do, they're going to be impressed.
All right, it's time for Supercharger Reviews.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Craig and Rebecca coming here from the Fort Drum Supercharger. It's Fort Drum, Florida, on the Florida Turnpike. We're going to give this Supercharger 6, 7 out of 10, and that's just because there's no room. We took one of the last spots. We just went inside, and there are several Teslas queued up.
Hey Zach and Jesse, it's Andrew here from Fredericksburg, Virginia Supercharger. This one's located at a Wawa convenience center gas station. I know they've got them at the Wawas and at the Sheets, and really like those because number one, you've got the convenience. The Wawas and Sheets are the higher end convenience stores with pretty much everything you need, restrooms, and they're clean. Thank you for everything that you do. I love all the information and hard work you put into it. Now you know.
This is the 150 kilowatt Supercharger group in Gainesville, Florida. There are plenty of walkable places to eat or use the restroom during the day. Not too much in off hours. Thank you for posting all these. About 8 out of 10, I think. Bye.
Neil, coming to you from the Tesla Supercharger station in Greenville, South Carolina. It's an 8-station setup, and there's no one here except me and my brand new Model 3, which we call Serenity. We're in the parking lot of the Hilton Gardens Hotel. Big shout out to them for a free cup of coffee. And this is a great convenience spot right off the highway. I would give this one an 8 out of 10. And now you know.
Awesome. I love that portion of the show. Keep in mind, you can upload your own Supercharger reviews on our website, nowyouknowchannel.com. There's a Supercharger review section where you can upload your own YouTube video.
And it's time for new Superchargers. What do we got this week?
We have the 4-stall 150 kilowatt Supercharger on the King's Road in Hong Kong. Wow. It's another Game of Thrones thing in there today.
We have the 4-stall 150 kilowatt in Manchester South, UK.
And number 487 in Europe, the 20-stall 150 kilowatt Supercharger in Markgård, Sweden.
Number 718 in the USA, number 1672 in the world is the 12-stall 150 kilowatt in Charlotte, Torrington Way, North Carolina. It's time for the Patreon giveaway. All right, so we're going to be giving away some EcoWare stuff, and this time we're giving away an EcoWare pillow.
I'm not spinning it this time, shaking it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just figured we'd shake things up a little bit.
Remember that they're designed with solar energy and they're completely carbon offset, everything you get from EcoWare. And yeah, our lucky Patreon winner will be getting an EcoWare pillow. Who's our winner this week, Jess?
The winner this week is Bjorn Midton.
Congratulations, Bjorn. You've won an EcoWare pillow. All right, and you made it to the end of the show. Take a deep breath. Watch all these fantastic people's names. Maybe your name is going by right now and you're waiting for your name and you're like, I'm going to wait for my name this week, which you should.
Yes.
Because you're awesome.
And
yeah, how do you get your name up there?
You support for as little as $5 a month, and after we give you your shout out, your name goes up on the list.
Now, if you're waiting for your name and your shout out, it does take a little while. We're back to like the end of July, so just be patient. We've increased the number of shout outs to get you, but we want to keep them special. But thank you so much for supporting the show. And I just want to give a shout out to our Patreons who were on our live stream last week. We do a new way of doing it. We use Zoom this time for the past couple of months so that we can actually talk to you.
And so this is our Patreon exclusive live stream. This is at the $8 level and above. And basically we're able to actually talk to you. If you have a webcam and a microphone or just your phone, we're using Zoom, so we're actually able to have like this big meeting of our patrons.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. We had some awesome conversations.
If you don't want to talk to us, if you're like, oh my gosh,
right, you can just watch it.
Yeah, you can just shut off your video feed and just in your microphone, just sit there and watch. That's fine too.
And you could even type in questions. We have this system where people will virtually raise their hand, so that way we can get sort of the questions through. It's really, really great. We're able to have really deep and meaningful conversations.
Now, speaking of live stream,
yes,
we're going to be at the LA Auto Show, and we're going to be at the Hawthorne Tesla Cybertruck Reveal. That'll be in a couple weeks, and so you guys should get ready for that. Put November 21st into your calendar.
Block out
8
the
o'clock
entire evening
or
day, depending on where you live.
It's usually 8 o'clock. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's 8 o'clock Pacific time.
Yeah.
So, wherever you are in relation to that, put that on your calendar. And now it's probably going to be some horrible time of day for you.
Mm-hmm.
But
California's like the worst place to have anything happen at night,
Right.
and have it be any reasonable time.
I will say Australia, you're going to have it at 8 in the morning. That's not horrible.
I want to wake up 8 in the morning for something.
Well, you're already woken up. You're already going to work or whatever.
Well, actually, it would be a little later. Be maybe 10 in Australia.
Oh, yeah, well, it depends. Yeah, you could be 14 hours ahead. So it might be 10. So I'm saying that's not bad. Anyway, we're probably going to do 2 live streams this year.
At the same time.
Simultaneous,
Right.
because we just figured, you know what, sometimes one goes down. So
And on your computer, you can pop up 2 live streams.
Right.
You can have the Jesse cam and the Zach cam. And we're going to be, running all around. We'll be in different places. I
Right.
might have a camera that can actually zoom in on the thing.
we should have improved audio this year because we figured out how to do lav mics. So
gonna be
that should help a little bit.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to join us.
And that way you can be typing in your questions on the feed, and we will do our best to try and get things answered.
And
if
hey,
we
be
know.
sure to tell all your friends because it's going to be a cool event because the Cybertruck's going to be
I mean, because
cool.
remember when we covered the semi-truck Roadster event, I mean, you got to see, live footage of like in the car. We were front row. We were in the truck.
Right.
Like,
I mean, and yeah, when Elon was like, come on up, everybody, and we all swarmed the car, I literally got pressed against the Tesla Roadster just because of the horde of people that was there. So I was able to just kind of take the camera, and just stick you right in the car.
right.
Nobody
else had that.
I don't think that Elon's going to make that mistake again, but hey, he might. And we might be pressed up with our faces against the glass looking into the Tesla Cybertruck.
Well, and, we should be able to get you shots and stuff that maybe the Tesla cams don't get.
Right. And keep in mind, we always get to these events early. A lot of Californians going to these events and they show up like half hour late. They're like way back in the line and they're like, oh man, if only we didn't have brunch so late today. And we're like way up at the front. We're up there with all the big YouTubers who obviously know to get there early. And we're ready to rock and roll. And that's exactly what we're gonna do this time. We're gonna be
Rocking and rolling.
Rocking and rolling.
With the Cybertruck.
Showing you the Cybertruck. It's going to be awesome.
All right, so put that in your calendars, and we'll see you next week here on Tesla Time News.
Now you know.